Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to share something about context in LLM models. I'm going to show you using a vacation, a holiday I did using ChatGPT. Let's go into it. I'm a senior front-end engineer at Sopra Steria. In this talk, I want to do a deep dive in context and large language models and how you can use this context inside your prompts. I hope that I can give you some insights in writing higher quality prompts to get also higher quality outcome and maybe turn you from a good prompter into a prompt whisperer. In this talk, I'm going to take you on a story of my own, and that story gave me some core insights I had working with AI. We are going to see what I've learned from that and how this improved my own interaction with AI. First of all, a disclaimer. Obviously, I have used different forms of AI in the creation of this presentation. You've already seen some of these characters from the previous sheets. I want to tell you that when I've used AI, I've made sure to verify and check the output, and I always made sure it was in line with my goal, story, or process. There's been no raw copy pasting. It's still all me you have to listen to. And it all started over a year ago. On that summer of 2023, I used ChatGPT to plan a holiday trip for me and my girlfriend. I'd already been using AI for quite a while, and I didn't know where to go on holiday. We did not have a lot of experience with traveling and going on holiday. So I asked ChatGPT to tell me some options about where to go, what to do, what to eat, all those things. In the end, we went to Porto in Portugal. I always see this trip as the start of my life with AI. It was the first time AI went from some digital fun toy to have an impact on my non-digital life. I've had one of the best holidays I've had so far. We have not much experience traveling. And ChatGPT took a lot out of our hands in figuring out stuff and giving us a carefree trip. Before this trip, I've only used ChatGPT to spit out fun projects each day, write poems, other fun stuff. But in this holiday was one of my realizing moments, the impact AI would have on my life. But on every person's life as well, if they want it or not. It's just there and it's not going to go anywhere. So this impact I wanted to understand and this impact made what I wanted to know more about the technique. This trip happened at the same time as I got a grasp of what an LLM exactly is. How does it work, like technically? And this realization was of the key moments in how I came to use AI now, as of today. After this realization, I had two more big moments that I could pinpoint during that holiday that really helped me improve my prompting skills. The second one was the way on how to write a prompt using some syntax, stuff I have known from my developer experience, but also stuff that was just useful information on how to actually write clear messages for AI. And the most recent moment that really boosted my skills was bringing in things from the outside world or from real life into the LLM or into the AI. Let's dive deeper into each of those steps to see what hidden gems we can find there. When we arrived at our destination in Portugal, we wanted to go to a local market with all kinds of market stands and merchants. When we were there, I saw some nice fruits and I wanted to buy some just to have a nice snack in the afternoon. And I asked to the merchant what it would cost. And he mumbled something back and I wasn't quite sure what he was saying. Like he didn't spoke English, I think. So I just thought price would probably be fine. So I put up my thumb. That guy got a little bit angry. What happened was that over there, a thumbs up meant a bit different, had a bit of a different meaning. This guy interpreted more like giving him the finger, and that was something where I had to learn that things on holiday are different than at home. The context is different. And this is what I needed to understand about large language model as well. The context is different. And to understand the different context, we need to understand the technique. I'm going to say that way more often. It's a language model. We've heard this thousands of times, and I've heard it before in my learning curve with large language models. It's even in the name, large language models. But we're so easily deceived by the power that AI has that our conscious filters are easily bypassed. It's important to understand that. And they are really convincing. Know that you are being tricked every now and then. To be aware of that really helps you improve your interaction. How you ask is more important than what you ask. The quality of the how is going to determine the result. Garbage in is polished garbage out. It sometimes looks nice, but it's still garbage. It's important to understand that it has absolutely no knowledge. For example, when you ask ChatGPT, who is the son of Mary Lee Pfeiffer, it's going to give you a pretty convincing answer. This is this Daniel Baldwin, what the AI is talking about. But the actual son of Mary Lee Pfeiffer happens to be Tom Cruise. Although the answer is convincing, here you see it has no knowledge. And this is a little bit the same of how our own brains and knowledge works. Let's say you've been to a birthday of your friend last year. Now a year later, I'm asking you, on this date, what were you wearing? You probably don't immediately know on that day you had this birthday party where you went to. So purely based on the date, you probably don't exactly know what you were wearing. But now when I tell you a little bit of context and say that was the day you had this birthday party of your friend, and now I ask you, do you know what you were wearing? Now you know, because of the context, what you were wearing. Because might be a dressing up party and you know you had that lovely dress or that nice set of pants with you. And there's a big difference between text models and image models. And with language models, there's a particular problem compared to image, video or sound models. Because text is not something we got by nature. It's not something where our brains have natural filters for it. For example, here we see hands, and we immediately notice something is off. This is because visually we have trained ourselves on this our whole life. This is way more baked in our body, so to say. With text, it's more often context and knowledge. And context is harder to extract from the text itself. If the LLM tells you the mother of Tom Cruise is Mary Lee Pfeiffer, you don't have a natural biological filter to second guess. As with these images of these hands, you understand without more explanation that this will not work. Or for example, in a video model where you have someone walking in the snow and you don't see them leaving footsteps in the snow, you understand something is wrong without maybe even pinpointing it or being able to tell what is wrong. It doesn't feel nice. So we started to training a lot on those issues images had, and now we are able to create perfect hands, like there's nothing wrong without them at first glance. But there are more of these complex structures like hands where we still have those problems. For example, with roller coasters. Here, the image looks very, very realistic, only to see immediately that this is not possible. This is not something that's realistic. And these are these sort of biological natural filters we have, and what's different with text, with language. So it's important to be aware of how AI works in this context of AI. And this is also why being aware of the risks and implications AI has is very important. For example, this is something we've seen around where AI is telling you to put glue on a pizza. It's something where we need to have the knowledge that this is not something good to do that. Like if AI felt safe, then it is safe. That's not how it works. A technical skilled people I spoke with had asked ChatGPT a question, asking it if he could share private information and if that would not leak into the system. And ChatGPT replied with that the chat is not stored, and when the chat is closed, the data is removed. And simply that answer made that person share information with the large language model because it was so convinced by the answer ChatGPT gave. So when I started to understand that an AI model works differently than how other things work that I already knew, I wanted to dive deeper into how can I provide that context. And this is where my next learning came along. We were sitting at a restaurant with a view on the bay. We got the menu, and the menu was structured in a certain way. It was not just some text written out, but it has paragraphs, columns, bold pieces of text. It had lists. This really helped giving context for each part of that menu. Without me being able to speak Portuguese, only based on the formatting, on the way how it was written, how it looked, the text, it already gave me important information on the context of each part. And as you have seen, this context is really important. Let's have an example. When you asked it to ChatGPT, this might get your account banned from OpenAI. If there are any developers in the room of people who know JavaScript or HTML, when I format it like this, it's a different context. Now, when you see this, there's some quotes that indicate these are blocks of code. And for a front-end developer like me, this immediately tells you want to do something with an HTML element that's nested with another HTML element. And only by changing the formatting, we change the context. I like to use different building blocks for formatting. Let me show you some of them. We can have some sections distinguished from each other. Here above, you see I use some backticks to indicate that there's some code going on. So now the AI has some context. This is about code without needing to understand its code based on characters and embeddings. You can also use triple quotes to highlight a section. Next to a line separator, it's also a really good way of adding some attachments, for example. Another one is using headings to give some context about certain sections. We use lists with list indicators, and these can be ordered and unordered lists. And these are ways to separate content and distinguish different sections within your prompt. And you can combine these. For example, you could choose a list together with a heading, including backticks for a small part of code within your list, and then have it all wrapped in triple quotes because it's more of an attachment than it's the actual question itself. I use this very often to indicate example snippets or code I add to my prompt. We also have inline formatting and syntax, ways of adding that context. Here again, the single backtick to indicate some technical content like a path or previously like a piece of code. Single quotes to highlight a certain phrase, naming, word. In this case, I'm highlighting a company name just to emphasize that. When you're sharing sensitive information, you can use placeholders with double curly braces, which you then can later replace with the actual content you don't want to give to a large language model, because for privacy security reasons. You can use capitalization to really emphasize a certain part of a text. You can use special characters like exclamation marks, comments, clarification. So here you see some key value pair kind of thing going on. And also some language models really work good with XML tags, just to separate different parts of the context. And besides this formatting and structuring, we also have different techniques and ways how to prompt a large language model. One of the most famous prompting techniques is a role prompt. This is where you tell the AI to act in a certain way by imitating a certain role. For example, this: act as a senior developer and give me the code for a gaming snake in JavaScript using the HTML canvas. This prompt improved my results massively compared to what I was able to create at the moment. Now I don't use it that often anymore because I don't think you get the best results, but we will see that later on in this presentation. But the role prompt is a really easy to understand prompting technique. Another technique, an interesting one I sometimes use and can be surprisingly useful and successful, using an unfinished chat prompt. This prompt focuses on building towards your question and then stopping right at the moment where the answer would be, in the hope that the AI or the language model finishes the chat, providing the right answer. So here's an example. Let's say I wanted to ask a large language model how to turn on my dark mode. We can also write it in a different way. Here I simulate a chat with the Apple support employee, and I'm explaining some of the context just to get it to answer me on how to turn on dark mode. Right at the moment, I stop the chat and let ChatGPT finish it in the context of an Apple support employee. And this context has way more information than when you would just ask it to give you the steps needed to turn on dark mode on your phone. And this is a really easy example. You probably can figure out how to turn on dark mode, but it just shows you how this unfinished chat provides certain context. So compared to that unfinished chat, you also have a zero-shot prompting technique. This is a technique just to share your question with ChatGPT without any examples. So here you see I'm asking ChatGPT to translate some text for me, and I don't give any more context than this. But with zero-shot, it also means we have a few-shot prompting. And this technique is used when you want to have more control over the output by showing some examples. And here you see I'm asking for a Craigslist ad, and I'm providing the model with 2 examples of good working ads on Craigslist. So the AI has some understanding of how those Craigslist ads work, and then build on that on those examples that you have provided. With these different techniques, it's nice to understand how these contexts play a role for what you want to achieve. So this few-shot prompt you can use when you want the context to also contain some structure, so some consistency. The unfinished chat, you can use it to have a more interactive way and a more descriptive way of a result, like the steps you got when asking for the dark mode. That's way more an answer as how would you ask a friend over messages, right? Just that's how important that context is. When we communicate with other humans, we often have the context of the situation. So the context isn't explained in the language that we use, but nonetheless, the context is reflected through the language. Let me show you what I mean. So on the 3rd day of our holiday, we came downstairs and talked to this guy at the reception because we heard of some of the local pastries and sweets and treats they had. And we wanted to taste some of them. And we asked this guy if he could point us to some of the best local bakeries. He said us to go to the boulevard, and when we were there, we were walking on this hot day. The sun was shining, and there was a nice band playing on the streets. And when we entered the bakery, there were a lot of nice pies waiting for us, and they looked so good that I felt like I could already taste them by only looking at those pies. And I can clearly remember that traditional baker standing behind his counter. He had a blue hat on, or maybe it was red. I was focused on those pies, and he was looking at me. Which pie are you gonna pick? And I was looking back and still doubting, and yeah, looking at all those sweetness. And then I said to him, "Act as a traditional baker and give me the recipe of your best pie." And this is a weird sentence, right? It doesn't matches the context of a tourist entering a traditional shop. And this is something where I would like to think of context more often being used in implicit conversations. What I mean is, when you want to get a recipe for this nice tasting pie, you want to set the context right. If you asked a baker to act like a baker, language-wise in the context, you're probably in a tier class where someone is asked to act like a baker. And AI is giving pretty good results. Don't understand me wrong. But context-wise, I think there are better ways to give context to an AI and get some results. So here, this phrase doesn't tell me what the situation is. Give me lyrics for a road trip song in the summer. The context can be a lot of environments, a lot of situations. This can even be the title of an article. But if you want to get lyrics for a song, you might want to change the context a little bit. So when we have this sentence, the music you make is amazing for listening to while being on a road trip. After 5 number 1 hits, what will the lyrics of your new road trip hit song be? Here you got already some visualization of the situation. What is going on? The text is not saying you are talking to an artist directly, but as an understanding of the context language-wise, this conversation is way more logical to happen with an artist than without an artist. And I think this is something where you can get good results past the persona interaction with large language models. If you can apply that persona within the way you talk to a large language model. So here can you see an engineer prompt made by me. Immediately it shows the different sections. I'm using XML tags because the model I'm using, Glad Sonnet, is particularly good with using the XML tags. So I'm actually giving it some context that we are wanting to get some lyrics from this chat. After that, I'm providing a set of instructions to generate the lyrics. Just giving it the task itself and showing some of the input types we will be using. After that, I'm starting a new section, and you see the input types it's just a list. But for the output format, I want each song that it generates to have a certain elements like a title, lyrics. I want a genre prompt, so I can use this to prompt Suno, a music model. So after that, I'm asking it also to include some concept and explanation of what it has done, just to improve the quality of the output. And then I'm giving it some guidelines to get some idea on how I want the lyrics to look and feel, that it should be catchy, or what the genre should be about, and really capture the feel of the output. Then I'm providing some quality control just to have it some improvements and more emphasizing the output quality I want to get. And after that, I'm giving it some advanced features to improve further along the chat. I'm providing it with an example of an input text, create a song, a traditional folk song, and then I show the lyric that you would get from that input. So it has some understanding of what my question would be and how the output would look. And it also includes the genre prompt in this example, as well as an explanation for the concept and an innovation assessment on how could it be improved. And then after all that context, I just ask it to begin and ask for a specific direction or request. So now it's telling me it's ready to help and create those lyrics. And now when I provide it with a certain input, where I want to ask it for a Disney song, I provide that input, and now it generates high quality lyrics, including an genre prompt and all the other information we asked for. And as you can see, it's very consistent with the styling. The rhymes are pretty good, and we can use it right away. So let me put it in Suno AI and see what this song sounds like. And while the lyrics are generating, I'm pasting it in Suno, and let's hear if there's some nice sounding song.
All my life I've been told where I belong, but these four walls, they've been my world for far too long. But there's a voice inside that's growing strong. It whispers that there's somewhere I'm meant to be. I feel it in my bones, a destiny unknown, a power surging through, revealing something new. My place is not here, it's out there waiting. Beyond these walls, the world's...
While this song is playing on the background, I would like to thank you all for watching this talk. Thanks for your attention, and I'm looking forward to see you in the Q&A.